Welcome once again back to the lab. It is your old Professor Pilk. Of course, this is your first time. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Let's jump in. Let's talk about this because there's a new raid incoming. It is not a 7-star raid. It is a 5-star raid, and it will only be happening for 1 weekend. That is, of course, Valentine's Day weekend coming up in about 2 weeks' time. Essentially, this will be kicking off for most of us on Thursday evening. For me, I'm on the west coast of the United States. That's 7 p.m. my time, and whatever that is your time, you can do the math on that. But it is dropping at midnight UTC on Friday. Obviously, for everybody across the world, that is going to be something completely different. But you can do the math on when that is your time. So it'll be running essentially until that Sunday. Of course, once again, if you don't put your Switch online, you can continue farming it. But I kind of feel like there's probably some 7-star raids coming here pretty soon. So you might have a very short window that you want to even farm this. And I'll get to those 7-star raid possibilities here in a moment. For me personally, I still have the Rayquaza raids. I've never put my Violet game online. For those of you guys that have been coming to the stream, you know any like trades or anything like that, we've been doing through Scarlet or Sword or Legends Arceus or any one of those games. The reality here is that this is the first raid we've had since Rayquaza that I'm actually going to put my Switch online and farm, because if we go down here, it'll say here, defeating the cream Pokemon will yield a variety of sweets that can be used in the evolution of Milcery. Now, if you didn't know, Milcery has a ton. I mean, Alcremie is the only evolution, but Alcremie has like an insane number of forms. I forget how many it is. It's completely bonkers. But it depends on the type of sweet, the time of day, and the direction you're spinning, and it is all over the place as to how many different evolutions you can get. Personally, I'm trying to collect them all, but I'm low on a few sweets, and since I'm trying to collect them from their origin game, i.e. Sword and Shield, I collect Milceries there, I bring them into Scarlet and Violet, and then I can evolve them with the respective sweet, because the sweets are just a lot easier to collect here. On top of that, with this raid, if you're lucky, you might receive an especially rare sweet. So, there are some of the sweets for evolution that are much, much, much harder to attain than others. Here's why I'm going to be farming this particular raid. Now, first things first, you got to know, these are going to be dropping all over the board. There's going to be tons of raids all over your map for these guys. And what's going to essentially happen is you can farm each and every one of those, and each and every one is going to be a different TERA type. But each and every one is going to drop a different amount of sweets. So every day, you're going to have probably like a dozen ways that you can farm sweets for Milcery. It's going to be really exciting and a lot of fun. I mean, for someone like me that's trying to do a full living dex and collect all of these mon, it's going to be a great way to get every evolution of Milcery, which will be like a page and a half in Pokemon Home itself, but will be really fun to collect nevertheless. So, that is why I'm farming this, and that is why, to me, this is pretty exciting. It is only a 5-star raid, but the nice part about that is, while it's not going to be dropping any Urban Mysticas, or probably not very many, if any at all, it probably not some of the better level-up items or things like that, dropping these sweets is totally worth it. Now, we should talk about what will probably come after this, because that is a whole different animal, and or a whole different Pokemon. So, for those of you guys that remember, when we had the Rayquaza raid, it was 5-star, and it was kind of shocking that it was 5-star, but I think it made a lot of sense from a Game Freak perspective. Because remember, it dropped around the holidays, and around that time, a lot of people are getting their Switches for the first time, a lot of people are getting Scarlet and Violet for the first time, and we had a lot of people even come to the stream said this was their first time getting the games. By the way, if you guys are new at these games, make sure you guys join the Discord down below. We can, help you find people to trade with so that you can complete those dexes and move on and get all your rewards. But nevertheless, for the last 2+ years, we've been having a series of 7-star raids that were all the starters from the different regions prior. So we've literally had every evolution, or I'm sorry, every generation of every game starter, including the Hisuian versions, all the way up through current. We never really had a raid for the Paldean starters, and I think if they did that, they should do it with like a very high shiny rate, if not a guaranteed shiny. That would be really cool. But the reality is, They probably will at some point rerun those, and probably rerun them like they did the Gen 1s. For those people that were around when they reran the full Gen 1s, they ran them every couple of days. So you'd have 3 or 4 days where you'd have Bulbasaur, technically Venusaur, 3 or 4 days where you have Blastoise, 3 or 4 days where you have Charizard. Even though they'd never run, Venusaur or Blastoise prior, they had run Charizard. He was our very first raid, and that's kind of the format that I would expect them if they do rerun those. And I kind of personally hope that they do for the people that weren't around for those raids. But nevertheless, that's kind of my expectation. Now, if you've been following Sword and Shield gets legendary raids all the time. And I believe most of those legendary raids actually have shiny raids. And that's exactly what I kind of expect Scarlet and Violet to start doing as we approach, or even during the launch of Legend Z Alpha. Or, I'm sorry, Legend ZA. Gotta get out of that. Got a lot of misinformation early into that game, and I apologize. Some of it stuck. So when Legend ZA drops, we should be getting a slew of different legendary raids and things like that in Scarlet and Violet. So my people that aren't going to immediately adopt the new game, you probably still have a lot of fun in this game, that in the form of raids and things like that coming up. I know that Sword and Shield has had a lot of really great stuff going on. Unfortunately, I haven't really been able to partake in it, but because I kind of burned my game and restarted it recently for another event, and we'll have that coming soon as a new series on the channel, or a reoccurring series on the channel, I should say. But nevertheless, guys, that is kind of what I expect. I do expect them to have some legendary raids incoming, probably with shiny raids. That all is basically to keep Scarlet and Violet still active while the new Legends game is out there for the people that do, early adopt and are able to get their hands on that game. So that said, I expect all those to be 5-star or 7-star raids. I do not expect them to be 5-star raids. So those of you that have recently, purchased the game or come into acquisition of the game in one way or the other, it's a great time to go ahead, grind out the end of the game, and then start your full collection. So obviously you can go back into Pokemon Home and you can go get the shiny reward. But not only that, because we did just get shiny rewards for both Enamorus and Manaphy as well for Legends Arceus and for BDSP. But what you really want to do is you want to be ready in case those 7-star raids do start running. So Milcery, awesome. I expect really awesome things coming after this. We'll cover all of those. I'll make sure I drop all that information as they do transpire. But this is the first raid since Rayquaza that I've been kind of excited for. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, comment section is yours, and I will be back with more Scarlet and Violet news coming up here real soon. Hopefully we get some more Legends ZA news as well.